Good morning. Welcome to your Financial Empower Hour. This is Jason Cryderman with Great Lakes Investment Advisors. And you see, I have a co-host in my office, my studio with me this morning, Mr. Tony Shore. We are very fortunate to have my son, Mr. Carson Cryderman, in with us today. So those of you watching on the YouTube channel, This is the first time you've seen Carson on YouTube. So Carson, give a big shout out and wave to all of our YouTube viewers out there and all of our listeners.
The crowd is going wild for Carson. You hear that?
There you are, and all our radio listeners. Thanks to Tony Shore, you just heard the crowd going wild for an awesome special guest on our show today. It's a privilege, Carson, to have you here. Tony, you and I have had Carson on the show a couple times before.
Yeah.
But he always asked, Dad, when can I be on the show again? And it's really tough when he has school because we usually record the show on Mondays. And of course, Carson, when he has school, he's in school, so he can't join us. But we had a little hiccup earlier in the week, so we're recording this show later in the week. And it's after he got out of school. So I was able to run up home today, pick him up from school, bring him back in here and say, Carson, you're going to be on the radio show with Tony again today. And what'd you think of that, buddy, when I told you we were going to be on the radio show?
I was excited.
Yeah, excited. Why? Do you like being on the radio show?
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
I don't know.
You just like talking to Tony, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you like being your dad's co-host. I'm worried about my job now. Carson is going to we'll get some fan mail probably, and he'll get some likes online, and then I'll be out of a job. Carson will be co-hosting the show every week, right?
Well, it's interesting you say that, Tony. I'm going to track the logistics. So on our YouTube channel, so anyone who after each week when we air these shows, and some of our radio listeners, they say, "Oh, you got a YouTube channel? Cool." And they go out to YouTube and they become a subscriber. They like us on YouTube. They're a follower. And so our numbers go up a little bit. So after this week, Tony, I'm going to really track those numbers, because I'm betting with Carson being on the show today, our listeners, we're going to have them all go up to. I bet this is the highest week ever that we've had YouTube subscribers. So I'm very excited about that.
I bet it's true. And Carson, you can tell all your friends at school and the people on the guys on your team, your baseball team, tell them to all tune in that you co-hosted a video. And that'll bump your dad's numbers up and turn you into a local celebrity. Carson, I think you're on a roll over there. Yeah, he just chuckles. Well,
he just giggles.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
okay,
Carson,
sure.
Carson, you're on a roll. You should be butter. Get it?
See what he did there?
See what I did?
That's a good old dad joke. I got to remember that one.
That's a bad dad joke, but yeah, you gotta remember that. Now, Carson, you know what the people out there call your dad? Do you know what they call him?
Shrimp.
No.
Hey,
That's not nice. Hey, I think that's some projection, Carson. No, here's what they call him.
Financial Panther, eh?
They call him the Financial Panther. That's Homer Simpson. That's what he calls your dad. He was on The Simpsons. So
the old Simpson days.
That's what happens when you have a famous dad. People start.
And that's aging us. That's aging us there too. Saying that we were on The Simpsons, Tony.
Yeah, Financial Panther, eh, Jason? That's what you are. Well, Carson.
First time I heard it. I mean, I hope it doesn't stick.
Right. So, Carson, I see you're wearing a very cool sweatshirt that says Batmen on it. Who are the Batmen?
It's my travel team from Sanford and Midland.
Okay.
So,
baseball?
Baseball, yeah.
Yeah, I would assume since the word bat is in there, it's baseball. So you guys, has your season started for the year? Not yet.
Just practices indoor.
Spring training, a little bit of winter training into spring training. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now on the team, what positions do you play? What's your strength? I mean, batter or in the outfield, pitcher? What do you?
I like defense more, but I play on defense pretty much everywhere for our team.
Oh, good.
So,
what are your favorite two positions?
pitching and catching.
Pitching and catching. Do you ever play first base or shortstop? What do you like best there?
Well, I probably won't play first, but I want to just try it out.
Sure.
Just not tall enough.
Remember a couple minutes ago when Tony said, "What do the people call me?" and you said shrimp. There's a reason you don't play first base on the team, Carson.
Yeah.
That's because first base you need to be a little taller to catch the high throws and the outside. Yeah. And you're short just like me, bud. So
yeah, and I'm short too. So don't worry. We're all in good company here.
That's right.
None of us are super tall, but I know that you do really well in baseball, Carson. I've heard that you're quite a baseball player and you really enjoy that. So that's awesome. I think that's great. Now, Carson, you and I had a wager, and I lost, didn't I?
Yep.
You were asking if Tony remembered that. Bring us up to speed. Maybe you need to help refresh his memory a little bit, Carson. What was this wager all about?
The last radio show I was on, we made a bet who would win Lions versus Minnesota Vikings game, and the Lions won, of course.
Of course.
So,
he had to add the of course. Ouch. Shots fired. No, the Lions were great, and I predicted they would go all the way and win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry that didn't happen. I can't believe it. I still think at the time they were the best team in football, but I can't give up on my Vikings because I was born and raised in Minnesota. I know all our listeners and viewers are going, oh, boo.
Boo. Hey, it's better than Chicago or Green Bay.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. Well, Chicago fans. I talked to our buddy Rob Curvin. We have a mutual friend who's a Chicago fan. And he's wearing a bag over his head during the football season. He wouldn't even show his face in public. He was so embarrassed by the Bears. But
we it wasn't long ago. I say it wasn't long ago, but we age ourselves. I remember when my dad and my grandpa would take what was the old Pontiac Silverdome that the Lions used to play at.
Yeah.
And I was probably Carson's age or maybe a little younger. So that's, oh my gosh, 35, 40 years ago. And there were actually, I heard that, Carson. There were actually a lot of fans in the Pontiac Silverdome wearing brown bags over their heads with eye holes cut out. And I remember asking my grandpa, what are all those? Why is everyone wearing these bags on their head? And he said, because they're Lions fans. And because back then it was a shame. It was embarrassing. But I've been I've been a diehard Lions fan, like you've been a diehard Vikings fan. Carson has been very fortunate in his years for the most part, especially the last 2, 3, or 4 years. The Lions have been really good.
Yeah, and, really good.
Unfortunately, we watched them lose to Washington there a few weeks ago, and Carson and I were watching the game. And remember what I told you, Carson, after the game? You were really upset, and I said, this is a great learning opportunity for you. And it kind of relates a lot back to when you play baseball or when you play basketball or football. Remember what I said the next morning?
No.
When I said sometimes the best team doesn't always win. Sometimes the best athletes don't always win, right? And so Tony and I talked about that on the show when we recorded that Monday after having that game. And it's exactly what we talked about is sometimes the best team and the best athletes just don't win. And so you got to remember that too, bud. Like when you're playing baseball and basketball and football and all your sports, you might be a better athlete. You might have a better team, but that doesn't always mean you're going to win. And, that kind of happened to the Vikings, I think, this year as well as the Lions.
Yeah, we choked a bit, but you know what? We each team had good seasons, and the Lions are a great team, and I think they'll be a great team again next year, and they have good coaching. So that game was a fluke. The best team doesn't always win, and that's something, Carson, you need to remember. And listen to your dad; he has a lot of great advice. I know you like throwing shade on both myself and your dad during.
Oh, he loves dishing it out, doesn't he, Tony? He loves dishing it out.
Yeah.
No, we lost both of our offensive defensive coordinators. So
what's that? We
lost our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
Oh, the Lions, yeah. So both of our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator left us coaching wise, but that's okay.
That's okay. You still have some great players on the team, and you've got a great coach still. So I think you'll make it. And there are other good offensive and defensive coordinators out there, and I think the Lions will land on their feet again next year.
I hope so. We hope so, don't we, bud?
The Cats always land on their feet.
They are. That's what they say. They have 9 lives, and so hopefully we got a few lives left, and we still land on our feet.
Yeah. So Carson, you're here. Well, I've got you here now. What grade are you in this year?
6th grade.
6th grade. And do you move to a different new school next year?
No, we did after 4th grade. Our school is just super small, so we had to put our 5th and 6th grade. Well, 6th grade's technically junior high for us.
Oh, okay.
But 5th grade's just put into our junior high.
Oh, okay.
They put 5th grade in the junior high a few years ago. Because not because it's too small, Carson, because the elementary was getting so many new enrollments.
Yeah.
Yes, getting too big because the school district is actually growing quite a bit. So they moved Carson actually in 5th grade is when he started at the junior high. And now you'll be in, so you're 6th grade. So next year, 7th grade. How many more years will you be at the junior high before you get to bump over to the high school?
2 more.
2 more. Okay. So normal high school freshman year, then you'll bump over to the high school, just like your sister Josie did this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Cool. So what's your favorite thing to do? Is it mainly sports, Carson, or do you like video games, TV? Do you like to go outside, ride bike, or play sports?
Other than sports, probably like hunting, fishing.
Oh yeah.
And playing outside with my friends.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Do you ever go ice fishing in the winter?
Yeah, me and my dad went out on like a little canal on the bay, and we went ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch anything though?
Yeah, they were the size of my pinky though. So
yeah. So usually when people I know go out ice fishing, what they catch is a cold. That's all they catch.
That's kind of what we did. We got cold.
But I also go to my neighbor's house, and he caught like a 2.5 pounder bluegill. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's got a big bluegill. It's fun to catch him out there.
That's neat. Yeah, ice fishing isn't for me. I admire you guys going out there on the ice. I live in Minnesota, and ice fishing's really big here. And the guy who actually edits, mixes, and produces this show, Mitch Heil, he's a big time fisherman. I mean, he fishes all the time. He's done it for years. He goes on major fishing trips up to the Canada and the North Woods, and he likes ice fishing too. I'm not big on it. Going out, sitting in front of a hole in the ice in the freezing cold.
Right.
I think it's crazy, to be honest, but
there's a little craziness in it. Yeah.
I mean, it depends. I mean, does your dad have one of these nice big trailers out on the ice with a TV in it and all this?
No. We don't go enough to do that.
Yeah. We have a little portable shanty, like that's got a little bench seat in there, and you can, goes over you. So it keeps you out of the wind and the cold. And we put a little heater in there, and we stay comfortable.
That's good. That's good. Well, Carson, this is awesome. What are you looking forward to this year? You think you're going to have a good baseball season?
Yeah, I'm hoping, because we get to go to states this year, so it's one of the bigger tournaments for Michigan.
Oh, really? That's great. That's awesome. So are you friends with a lot of the guys on the team? Is that who you're friends with?
Yeah, we got 2 new people, so not a lot new people to the team, but
most of them been your buddies for at least 3, 4, or 5 years.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
new kids last year.
That's great. Now, so your dad takes you hunting and fishing. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
You don't like fishing as much, but
what's that?
He doesn't like fishing as much.
So you like fishing
as much as Carson really does. Yeah, I love hunting, and I enjoy fishing, but Carson really, boy, he's just fishing and hunting. I think he loves them absolutely the same, really. Whereas me, if you had to ask me, Jason, do you want to go hunting or fishing? I'm going to pick hunting. But obviously, when it's not hunting season and Carson wants to go fishing,
I'm going fishing.
We end up going fishing.
Yeah. There's 3 reasons I don't like fishing, and I grew up with a dad who loved fishing and went fishing all the time, and he took me fishing as a youngster, but I feel bad for my dad because I really didn't like it and didn't like to go that much. I mean, I enjoyed our together time, so we had fun, but there's 3 reasons I don't like fishing, Carson. Touching the worms or the bait, touching bait.
Ew, gross.
Touching the fish.
Ew,
I don't want to do that. And cleaning the fish or taking the hook out.
Tony.
None of those sounds like things. A wimp move.
What's that? A wimp?
Sounds like a wimp move.
Uh-oh. He's throwing shade. Carson, you just come on the show to throw shade, don't you? Give us a hard
time.
Did you
just call Tony a wimp?
Yeah.
You wait till he sees you next time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can still lift you above my head and spin you around a little bit.
He'll remember
what I like to do with a guy your size, Carson, is I lift you up, turn you sideways, and then I just do this and spin you. And you're going round and round. I'm kidding. But I do have to come to Michigan sometime and hang out with you guys. You guys, you get into the outdoors. Sounds like sports, outdoors. That's really good for you to get out, not just sit in the basement and play video games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes his video games, but what else? So we got, what do you have that we ride around? What do you have that ride around the yard? You got,
I got a quad and a go-kart,
and
the Ranger, but I don't ride it that much. What? Oh, a snowmobile.
and a snowmobile.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah.
I
just
make
a-
sure, we love the outdoors, and I really
Yeah.
make sure that, like you say, I want my kids to be very well-rounded, even the girls, Lexi and Josie, right? So I make sure, hey, every once in a while, you got to get off the phone, get off the computer,
Yep.
get outside, right? Get outside, get some fresh air, get some exercise. And of course, we have all the toys to, we have the snowmobile and the four-wheeler and the go-kart and those things. And that makes it fun too. So Carson can have buddies over and do things in the neighborhood. And
That's
so, yeah, I
awesome.
think he has a lot of fun, whether he's in the house or doing sports or hunting or fishing or just playing with some of his yard toys.
Carson, I had those things too. I had a 4-wheeler. Actually, we had a 3-wheeler they made illegal pretty quick.
Yeah.
We had those back in our
Heard
day,
about
not
that
now.
I had a 3-wheeler and a go-kart that was built from scratch. And I had a
Oh.
dual engine go-kart, and I raced it at the local county fairgrounds. We had a
Cool.
racetrack.
I never knew that.
So I
about
used to
Tony.
race go-karts, and then I had snowmobiles, and we'd go snowmobile. My parents, our one big family vacation every year was during the winter, and we'd drive way up north, and we'd put 100 miles on it. My mom had a sled, my dad had a sled, and I had a sled, and we'd snowmobile all day long, like 100 miles a day.
That sounds like a good day.
Oh, and there were bars and restaurants that you could only get to up there by snowmobile. They'd be set up, and we'd snowmobile around to those, and just hundreds of miles of trails up there. And that's back when we got a lot more snow than we do now.
Yeah, we just don't get as much, do we? I mean, that sounds like when we go up to the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I try to get up there a couple times a year with some buddies of mine. We go up on snowmobile trips, and the last couple of years we've been so busy with the girls between gymnastics and cheer and Carson's basketball and with work, we just haven't been able to get away as much. But same thing up there, hundreds of miles of trails, and there's little hot dog shacks, and little beer tents out in the middle of nowhere, and so it's pretty fun. Then again, last year I think my buddy had maybe 5 trips planned, and he had to cancel 4 of them because of lack of snow.
Yep,
we just didn't have the snow, it's been a lot better this year. He's already been up there a couple trips. I think this weekend I'm going to get an opportunity to go up to the Houghton Lake area, which is only about an hour north of us. As long as they still have some good snow this weekend, which they do now. I'm going to get up there and do a little bit of snowmobiling this weekend, and might even take the little man Carson with me.
All right.
It'll be the first time that I've taken Carson out of the neighborhood, where I've actually taken him out on the real trails and maybe ride we'll go for 50 to 100 miles in a day, and
that's fun. That's
you took me to the river that one time.
Yeah, we did. My buddy lives on a river, and when that freezes once or twice a year, if we're lucky, we go down to the river and have a little fire down there and a grill out. We take the snowmobiles and put a couple miles up and down the river, but that's nothing like getting on 100 miles of trails. And so I'm excited to take Carson for his first real snowmobiling experience.
There you go. Well, Carson, out of those, the snowmobile, the 4-wheeler, the go-kart, what's your favorite?
Well, we just got the go-kart fixed. So I've been riding that more.
I remember those days. Our go-kart was constantly broke down.
If it's not a tire, it's the belt. If it's not the belt, it's the chain.
Yep. That's a go-kart for you. That's what go-karts are good for, breaking down.
I tell you what, it's the best $1,000 I ever spent, though. I've had that thing probably 5 years, and it's got to have 50,000 miles on it.
My parents had mine from the early 1980. All the way through, and I know that neighbor kids were still coming over, and young cousins were still coming over using it long after I was in my working career. So
yeah, I mean, they're workhorses, aren't they? They're fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they break down, but for a few bucks, you buy a new belt or a new chain, you get it back out in the woods.
Yeah. Well, we have to take a break, but Carson, before we let you go, is there anything you want to say to your friends, to our listeners out there? Is there anything else you've got for us?
Nope.
No? Come on, Carson. Come on.
Go Lions or go Detroit.
There we go.
Detroit. Yes.
There we go. Like that.
All right. Go Lions, go Detroit. Now, that $5 you won from me, when your dad gives you like $5 because he paid you for my debt, and then I owe your dad. But when you get money, when somebody gives you $10 or you get some money from somewhere, what do you do with it? What do you spend it on, or what do you do with it?
I just put it in my piggy bank.
Nice. There you go. Your dad's a financial planner. You got to be responsible with your money. Save it. All right, that sounds good. Well, you know what? Before we go, let's give our listeners the number if they want to get to put together a financial plan, a retirement plan, have any questions about finances. We're going to say goodbye to Carson. Thanks for coming on the show there, buddy.
Say goodbye. Wave goodbye to everybody, Carson. See you guys.
And Jason, we're going to give that phone number out, 989-835-7203. That's 989-835-7203, or go to the website. A lot of great resources on the website. You can take the Color of Money risk analysis. You can look at some great videos there. Great Lakes Investment Advisors.com. That's Great Lakes Investment Advisors. That's ORS, advisors with an ORS at the end.com. Well, Jason, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more of your Financial Empower Hour. All right, welcome back to your Financial Empower Hour. We're rolling right along. It was great to have Carson here.
Yeah, it was nice to have him. He was very excited. Like I say, we usually record on Mondays at noon. And he's in school, not able to be on the show. He loves being on the show. So when I told him this morning, I dropped him off at school, I said, hey, bud, I'm going to pick you up from school and bring you back into the office. He's like, oh, I got to go to the office. I'm like, yeah, but there's a good reason. You're going to get to see Tony Shore. And he said, Tony's going to be at the office. I said, no, we're recording the radio show today at 4:00. So you're going to be on the radio show. And he was all excited. So love the opportunity to have him on the show. And he really likes it as well.
Yeah, that was fun. I love Carson. Great kid. Great kid. So you've obviously done a good job when his favorite things are to go hunting and fishing with dad or play sports. That's what I like to hear. I wish more kids would say that, right? That's good.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's awesome. Granted, there's times where he doesn't want to be with dad.
Well, sure.
He wants to stay in
obviously.
the house. He wants to be on his video games. He wants to be with his buddies and those types of things. But he really loves his sports. He's extremely athletic and really loves his outdoor activities like hunting and fishing and playing on the go-kart and the snowmobile and the four-wheeler. So yeah, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. He's a good kid.
That's really fun. Well, Jason, today you wanted to talk a little bit about important birthdays from age 50 and beyond, things that you should note. Let's jump right in. I mean, where do you want to start here?
So there are some really cool potential opportunities as we age, and we call it like your financial opportunity birthdays, and it starts at 50. But really, when you talk about 50 and beyond, there's some really key birth dates that I just want to kind of touch on, and I have all kinds of information in the office here for any of our listeners or our viewers that say, hey, you talked about those birthdays, and I remember there was one at 55 or 59 or 63 or what were they? And so we have what's really called like your retirement calendar that shows from the time the year you turn 50 years old, all the next important key birthdays that you're going to potentially have an opportunity to take advantage of or that you don't want to miss out on. And it really does start at age 50. So that's kind of where we'll start. At age 50, the IRS allows you to contribute more money into your retirement account. So like if you have an IRA or a Roth IRA this year in 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 into a traditional or a Roth IRA. But once you hit age 50, you can actually contribute an additional $1,000. So 50 and over, you can contribute up to $8,000 this year into an IRA or a Roth. So that's pretty cool. If at the end of the month you have extra money left that you want to invest into your retirement plan, once you hit age 50, the IRS allows you to put away an extra, it's called a catch up. They allow you to catch up and put away an extra $1,000. And that's not only at 50, that's every year after you turn 50. And then inside a 401k plan this year in 2025, you're able to put the normal contribution into a 401k is $23,500. So you can put into up to $23,500 into a 401k plan. But once you hit age 50 and older, you can put an additional $7,500. So that would really take you up to $31,000 that you could put into a 401k plan if you have those types of resources and you want to put more money aside. Once you hit age 50, the IRS allows you to do that. So I think those are some pretty cool opportunities at age 50 that our listeners and viewers need to be aware of, Tony.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Age 50 is a big one. That's when, if you haven't started planning for retirement, that's a good time.
It's a great time.
Your 50s are important.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't started, a lot of people say, a lot of people don't start till their 40s and 50s because they have families. And so from 20 till 20 years old, when you have started having kids between 20 and 25, and then you're buying houses, and then you have mortgages, and then you have the kids to take care of in schools and college and weddings. And a lot of people don't have the extra resources to really start putting money away for retirement until they hit their 40s or 50s. And that's also why the IRS allows you, hey, once you hit 50, they'll allow you, if you have extra resources at that point in time, they'll allow you to do what they call the catch up up for those years you weren't able to contribute so much because you had resources going out into other responsibilities. So that is a pretty cool opportunity that you're able to start or add more money into your retirement.
Yes, and I think that's very important. Now, let's take a quick break. I know it's a quick one, but we had a long first segment with Carson because he's awesome. So we're going to give away a few more copies of your book. And it's an amazing book, Empower Your Retirement. We're going to give away 10 copies. So the next 10 people that call into your office and request a copy will get that. It'll be sent out. There's no charge. So all you have to do, listeners and viewers out there, call 989-835-7203. That's 989-835-7203 to get a copy of Empower Your Retirement, which is a great book. I love the book. Jason, you did a great job with it. It's got a lot of information, including talking about what to do in your 50s to plan for retirement. We're talking a lot about that today. All right, and you are listening to your Financial Empower Hour. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. And as a reminder, everybody knows you, Jason, but Jason Cryderman is the host of the show. Jason, again, thanks for having me on. And we're talking about important birthdays, 50 and beyond. You talked about age 50. What's the next age you want to touch on?
Yeah, so 50 is a great opportunity to be able to add more money to your retirement plans.
Yep.
Let's fly forward 5 years. And boy, we know, Tony, 5 years flies, right? So at age 55, this is a big key age for 401k, people that own 401ks. If you retire or separate service from your current employer at age 55 or after, you can access or withdraw money outside of that 401k plan for living expenses. That's important because with an IRA or a Roth, you cannot touch that money until 59 and a half without an early 10% withdrawal penalty. So this happens a lot when people change jobs, or they might say, hey, I'm going to retire at 55 or I'm going to retire at 58, yet they need money to live on until they might turn 59 and a half and be able to access money out of their IRA, or even to get to age 62 where they can start taking Social Security. So that's a very important age. As a matter of fact, just about 2 weeks ago, I sat down with a family, and his goal was to retire by age 55. He's 54 years old right now. And he said because of his wife's opportunity and a career that she took on, he was going to actually retire early. And he's about 54 and a half. And so I said, well, are you going to need any income from your portfolio before 59 and a half? He said, well, because of my wife's new career, I'm not going to need as much as we thought we would. I might only need to take a few $1,000s a year out of my portfolio. So I had to let him know, well, if you retired 6 months early before 55, you're not going to be able to access money outside of that from that 401k. So he said, oh, thank goodness. I'm glad I'm here, Jason. That's exactly why we trust you as our advisor. So he's going to work 6 more months. Then he's going to retire when he turns 55. Then he'll be able to access that extra couple $1,000s a year from his 401k. It'll be taxed, but he'll be able to avoid that 10% early withdrawal penalty. So 55, separate from service at 55 or after, is a great opportunity to be able to access money from your 401k plans. So that's a big age. Then we touched on 59 and a half. 59 and a half is the age where you can get money out of your IRA.
And why the half year, Jason?
I'm not sure. The IRS. So Tony, here's what I think about the IRS. So guys, I'm not a big fan.
No.
I think and I talk about this in my taxes and retirement classes. I think taxes is a game that the IRS wrote the rules of the game, and it's a game they play with our money and our minds. And they write these laws and rules around our money to confuse our minds. 59 and a half. Why the half? It's the same thing with taking a required minimum distribution, which is another age. Used to be 70 and a half. Why the half? Now it's 73. But yeah, so I'm not sure what the logic or reasoning is behind that, or if there's any logic or reasoning, Tony. This is an IRS law. But age 59.5 is a big number. It's a big birthday. It's a 59.5 birthday that if you need to access money from an IRA, you can now access that money at 59.5 without that 10% early withdrawal penalty. Now, it's important also to know it's not 59 in 1 month, 59 in 5 months, 59 in 5.5 months. You have to be 59.5 at least before you make the withdrawal from the IRA. So it's not the year you turn 59.5. It's you have to be at least 59.5. So that's a big opportunity too for those of us that have money in IRAs and you want or need to pull money out for some reason. After 59.5, you can access your IRAs without that 10% early withdrawal penalty.
Yeah, and nobody wants to pay a penalty. You don't want to,
No.
you want to hang on to your money, and you don't want to unnecessarily give more money than you have to away, especially when you're planning for retirement. That's a costly mistake that some
That's
people
absolutely
make.
right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, think about, so first of all, the IRA money, it's going to be taxed. It's already going to be taxed at ordinary income tax, state and federal. The last thing you want to do is find out you accessed it early before 59.5, and now you pay another 10% penalty on top of the taxes. That's a very costly mistake, Tony. And unfortunately, we hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
We hear about people, they didn't know. They said, well, we didn't know. What we don't know, we just didn't know. And that's our job as fiduciary advisors, is to educate, whether it's the radio show, the YouTube channel, my book that I wrote that you give away copies of every week, our taxes and retirement workshops and classes we put on to the general public. Our job is to educate investors and families on what are the rules and laws. So hopefully you don't make those costly mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And my irritation over the half year, I mean, I stopped celebrating half birthdays when I was 6 years old, Carson's age. Beyond that, I didn't celebrate half birthdays. But it's you can tell somebody wanted it to be 59 and somebody else wanted it to be 60. And so
let's meet in the middle, right?
Let's make it tricky and tough for everyone. They couldn't say the year you turn 59 or the year you turn 60.
Nope.
That would have been too easy.
That would have been way too easy.
Way too easy. We're going to
way too easy.
specifically say 59 and 6 months. It's crazy. Okay, so that's 59.5. What's the next big landmark age?
So you think that half a year, 59.5, is crazy and confusing. And we talk about these IRS laws that are crazy and confusing. I think they write them that way on purpose, so we don't understand them. We get analysis paralysis and we do nothing. Right. Or we make mistakes and they penalize us, and then they end up getting more of our money. Well, let's slide into Social Security. We want to talk about confusing. So Social Security is an awesome retirement benefit. And depending on the situation you're in, Social Security can actually provide for between 20 and 50% or more of your retirement income. So it can be a very big chunk. It's a very important piece of retirement income. Social Security is very confusing also on when can I take. You can take as early as 62. So 62 is another big birthday. That means if you need additional income, you now can access it by turning on your Social Security paycheck. It is going to be a reduced amount, but at least you can take it at age 62. Now, you also have to be careful if you still work either a full-time or a part-time job and you take Social Security early, because if you make over the IRS's threshold of income, they're going to double tax. Basically, for every $2 you make, they're going to take $1 back in Social Security as far as an extra tax on your income.
Yeah.
So when you take Social Security early, you have to be very cautious of the amount of money you make if you have a full or part-time job above and beyond Social Security.
Yeah. Why would you lock in a lower Social Security amount and much lower?
And so that's another thing. A lot of people say, gee, I'm not going to lock in a lot lower rate. In that case, you can wait all the way up until what's called your full retirement age. That's when you would get full benefits. And that usually floats around, probably for most of my viewers and listeners, 65, 66, 67 years old. Or you can even let it grow as far as age 70. And so if the ultimate goal is I want the most bang for the buck and I'm going to live a long time, then you probably want to wait longer. And you don't want to lock in a lower rate.
Or if you're going to keep working full time.
It
doesn't really make sense for most people. Why would you take Social Security benefits if you're not going to retire? Because that income threshold is really low. I forget the exact amount, but it's low.
It's very low. Yeah, it's a reduced amount. And it's only like about 18 to $20,000, something like
Yeah.
that this year that you could make outside of Social Security.
Yeah,
And
I
after
think it's
that,
less than 22,000. It's
it just
maybe,
doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But and again, so Social Security can be very confusing, and Social Security is a decision that once you make that decision, it's done, it's final. You don't get a redo or do over. So you got to make sure you're getting good advice from a trusted fiduciary advisor on when should you and your spouse, if you have a spouse, trigger your Social Security. Maybe it's at the same time, maybe it's not. And I guarantee you it's probably not the exact same time that your brother-in-law or your sister or somebody for work or church did. So make sure you get personalized advice on all these options and opportunities.
So important, Jason. Thanks for that. And we're going to give away a few more copies of your book for the next few callers that call and request a copy. If they get a message, just leave a message. You can call and say, I heard about it on the show, your weekly podcast / radio show, whether you hear it on the radio or YouTube or a podcast channel. We're on all of those. No matter where you're hearing this, call in, get a free copy of Jason's book. It's a great book called Empower Your Retirement. All you have to do is call 989-835-7203. Again, that's 989-835-7203. And this is your Financial Empower Hour. I'm Tony Shore. I'm here with Jason Cryderman. Jason, we've covered age 62, which is when you can first take your Social Security benefit, but I wouldn't do that without setting up a meeting and talking to you first, because you can run a Social Security maximization report for our listeners if they set up a consultation, and that'll tell them when the best time to file would be for their personal situation.
That's correct.
Do not file for Social Security just because your neighbor or your brother-in-law did at 62, or they said wait until 70. Your time might be different. Yours might be 66 in 3 months. Yours might be
there's 65. So many different variables. There's so many personal variables that come into play that you really have to get a individualized for you as an individual or you as a married couple. When is the optimal time for you to trigger your Social Security? And as Tony mentioned, we do have multiple softwares that we use. One of them is called Social Security Maximization Report. So, and there's no charge for that. We simply collect some information and variables from you. We put it into the software. It does its job and spits out all of the options when you could take Social Security at every single age, every year when you could take it. And it shows you the optimal benefit based on your goals and objectives. So thanks for mentioning that, Tony. So let's kind of cruise up to the next birthday. The next important birthday over age 50 is age 65. Age 65 is when you can access your Medicare benefits. You want to talk about something else that's confusing is insurances and Medicare. And 65. The first thing I want to tell you is when you turn 65, it is crucial you enroll for Medicare, at least sign up. Doesn't mean you have to pay for any of these supplements or anything additional. You at least have to enroll and sign up for Medicare at age 65 to avoid getting potential penalties for the rest of your life. They don't go away. Unfortunately, I know this because my mom made that mistake. So we're a living proof now. My mom in her 80s, she did not sign up at 65. She was covered under her husband at the time's health insurance. She thought, I'm already covered. I don't need Medicare. Well, she didn't need to pay for any of the supplements because that was covered under her husband's plan. However, the law is you must at least sign up for Medicare base plan when you're 65. She did not. She found out after her husband passed away. She then had to sign up for Medicare to keep the insurance coverages. And at that point in time, now she pays a penalty every single year for the rest of her life simply because she didn't know. And that's one of those things I go back to. You always hear what you don't know can't hurt you. Well, Tony, with your money and your life and your family, that's the farthest from the truth. It's what you don't know that can be devastating to you internally. And so that's why I'm glad as a fiduciary advisor, I get to educate the public on things they don't know. And so hopefully all of my listeners and viewers, they learn something at each show. Be like, I didn't know that. Now I know better.
And it's a 7-month window, which begins 3 months before your birthday. And then birthday month, and then 3 months after. So it's 7 months.
So again, crazy time, right? No, 59 and a half was the IRA. And now this is 65, but 7-month window, not 3 months before, 3 months after the month of, again, crazy. But there is that open enrollment. I'm glad you pointed that out. So 65 is a very big birthday year for Medicare.
All
Then
right.
we'll fast forward. We'll go. Do we need to take a break, Tony?
Nope, we're good.
Okay. So let's go to 65 to 67. This is when we're going to kick back to Social Security. Between 65 and 67 is when you're eligible for 100%, depending on when you were born, of what they call your FRA, full retirement age benefit. So a lot of people wait till full retirement age. Again, if you're working pre-full retirement age, you probably don't want to take Social Security because you'll probably be over that income threshold and you'll lose too much that goes back in taxes. Now, once you reach full retirement age, your FRA, now you can take Social Security, and Tony, you can work and make unlimited amount of income and they don't negatively impact your Social Security. So this is a great opportunity for those people that are going to work into your 60s. Once you hit full retirement age, if you need the additional income, go ahead, turn on Social Security. You can still work and you don't have to worry about that minimum income threshold. So that's an opportunity at between age 65 and age 67.
All right. We have time for one more.
All right, one more. Let's go to the last one here is age 73.
Yes.
Age 73 is a big one on required minimum distribution. So any of us that have IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s, any of those deferred retirement accounts. Now, this does not pertain, Tony, to Roth IRAs. Required minimum distributions do not pertain to Roth IRAs, but any other deferred retirement account like an IRA or 401k, once we reach age 73, we're forced by law, by the government, to start accessing and taking out what's called a required minimum distribution. Every single year for the rest of your life, you must take money out of that account. They tell you exactly how much and exactly when. And you don't want to not do this, Tony, because the penalty used to be 50%. They just dropped it down to, I believe, 25. But that's still, who wants to take money out of their IRA, give the government taxes, and pay another 25% penalty just because they made a mistake?
On top of the taxes, 25% of what you withdrew,
you give it right
not
to the government.
counting what percentage you owe out of that for taxes. So
correct.
That's huge.
That's huge. That's it. So age 73 now is the required minimum distribution age. Again, does not pertain to Roth IRAs. It does for every other deferred retirement plan like an IRA, 401k, 457, 403b, those types of accounts.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big one. And we've talked a lot about RMDs on past shows. Well, Jason, great show today. We covered a lot. We crammed in a lot. We got to see Carson. But
that was the best part of the show.
We're out of time. If you have questions or want those reports run, or you want to set up a consultation with Jason and his team there at Great Lakes Investments, just call 989-835-7203. That's 989-835-7203, or go to GreatLakesInvestmentAdvisors.com. And that does it, Jason, for today's episode of your Financial Empower Hour.